and you see a headline like this morning that there is an agreement, I should say, between Iran and the US, and your first thought when that happens.
Well, I think the big thing is we've seen a couple of different phases with different agreements in this conflict. I remember back on April 7th, there was the ceasefire agreement, and during that time, there was a lot of optimism that things were going to quiet down and that we were going to see ships start moving through the Middle East carrying energy supplies and other types of commodities. And instead, while we did see the fighting quiet down, the Strait of Hormuz largely remained closed or seeing, traffic levels that were very depressed from normal. And so I think the question that I have here is, hey, how quickly can you see activity return to normal in that region? Because the reason why we have concerns about high gas prices largely stems from the fact that around 12 million barrels of oil that region typically produced are not being produced today. And so we need to see when that production can get spooled back up.
And expand a little bit more. I know you mentioned April 7th. There's been a number of times over the course of this war when there has been some iteration of some kind of agreement reached that has, made consumers kind of say, oh, does that mean my gas prices are going to go down again? So, what are we waiting for to know that the end is really coming?
Yeah, I think that's a great question because in the short term, there is a little bit more room for gas prices to continue to slide here, maybe getting the national average down another 20 to 30 cents a gallon into like that 370, 380 range. Beyond that, it's going to be the question of, hey, when do those other supplies start to flow from the Middle East? Because the reason why gas prices haven't gone higher to this point is we've been drawing down both commercial inventories and the U.S. government strategic reserve over the last couple of months to the tune of around 15 million barrels a week between the two of them. We're getting to the point now where at least the commercial side of that ledger is starting to run into problems probably in the next 4 to 6 weeks and won't be able to maintain that flow rate. The strategic reserve probably running anywhere from like 6 to 8 weeks behind that. So there's this ticking clock where if you don't get production in the Middle East running at a higher clip before the end of the summer, you really start to see some problems that develop in the course of July and August, with gas prices potentially snapping back towards higher moves. But if we do see production start to pick up in the Middle East in the next several weeks, maybe we can get through the summer still with, some questions about how tight those inventory levels are, but it wouldn't result in significant price moves to the upside if that production restarts, in short order here.
So, what would your description be on the forecast? Are you cautiously optimistic, or are you, looking towards the future here?
I think on this, I come back to this phrase, trust but verify. It's you want to trust that something can get moving here, but you need to actually see it and verify that it's happening before you can, really start to celebrate. So I think it's going to be something where over the next 4 to 6 weeks, we watch the area carefully, see what kind of production levels can come back up, and hopefully we get some movement there. But there is a chance. I don't think you can handicap this. There's a chance that this might be another false start here, and we're not going to see the level of production rising as quickly as we'd like. I hope that's not the case. This feels different, at least the way people are talking about it. But until you actually see oil flowing in meaningful quantities again, it's going to be something where it's always in the back of my mind, hey, is this for real? Or is this another one of those false starts that we've seen? So that's kind of what I'm going to watch over the rest of June and through July.
Okay. Last question, which really should have been my first question. And I know we've covered this so many times, but can you just explain kind of why gas prices go up so quickly, but take so much longer to go back down?
Yeah, big thing is if you just think about the mechanics of it, if you are if especially in this case, if you are a producer of gasoline, you've got a number of different input costs. You've got the cost of the oil, you've got the cost of refining it, and then you've got the cost of shipping it to your gas stations finally. Those gas stations, when they're buying from you, they need to be able to have enough money on hand to go and buy that next shipment that's coming in. And so prices typically move up faster because gas stations don't want to be caught off guard and unable to pay for those higher prices that may be in the future. Likewise, they come down more slowly just because they're a little bit more cautious on that side of things. So it is something where we have seen, again, about nationally, a 40 cent shift downward in gas prices over the last month, going from around 4.55 and change down to somewhere in the 4.10 range. But I still think there's some room for us to run based on where oil prices are. Again, I think we can get into that 370 to 380 a gallon range. And then anything from there is really going to depend on how the rest of the summer goes in the Middle East and what kind of flow comes out of there.
Anything I didn't ask you that I should have?
No, I think those are the big questions.
Okay. Thank you. You're great. I appreciate it.
All right. Have a great rest of the day.
All right. You too. Bye.